Yo guys, what's up and welcome back to Olympus. In today's video we will be discussing something that gets a lot of talk online. I know a lot of discussion about different things and it can all get a bit confusing. So I'm going to basically discuss my journey with it and then sort of things I've done that have helped me massively reduce it. This is still a thing I'm working through at the moment, but it basically helped me massively reduce it and kind of manage it a bit better. And yeah, I think hopefully there'll be something you guys can take away from it to help you guys manage it as well if you are struggling as well like I was. That thing as well is fapping. Okay, there's a lot of talk online about no fap and semen retention and all this kind of stuff. Some of it is helpful. There are some channels such as Hamza who have some genuinely very good videos on this topic, and some of this stuff has come from that channel, but other things as well that I've looked into. So it's sort of an amalgamation of information. And then other videos are complete poppycock and just nonsense, really, about like, oh, by day 90 of no fap you'll be able to levitate or whatever. So I basically felt that it would be useful to share my journey with fapping, kind of what I've learned about it, my findings with it, making it sound like some sort of scientific paper now, but basically what I've discovered over time, and basically just see if there's anything I can offer. So I guess if we start at the beginning, a very good place to start. So my fapping journey began around about the age of 12. I believe the first video I ever, did stuff to was a wrestling lesbian clip, and then it just kind of started to escalate through regular porn videos, then up into other platforms. For those to be completely open, I have paid for things on OnlyFans in the past, and I've done plenty of other things that be classified as being a degenerate, in order to basically try and scratch the real itch that I had inside of me of what I really wanted, and that was the only tool I really had available to me to be able to scratch that itch was fapping. So that kind of just left me going there. There were points when I feel genuinely quite depressed after fapping, as I knew it really wasn't what I wanted to do, but I had no idea really how to get myself to stop. I could do a bit of time on no fap streaks. I could go a couple of days. I think the longest I got up to was about 2 weeks. A few years ago this was, but younger me really bought into the idea that you had to just keep going and be perfect with it, and one failure would completely reset your progress, which is basically nonsense. And this is actually where Hamza, who I recommended earlier, came in quite handy, as his videos did help me to see that any amount of progress is good progress, and that did help me reduce the pressure on trying to be perfect and just aiming for generally moving in the right direction of reducing down my fapping. So earlier I mentioned that what I was trying to do was scratch and kind of itch of what I wanted inside. What I really wanted was a girlfriend, or basically just some form of connection. But as a shy, kind of awkward teenager, I had no experience or skills with girls whatsoever. So porn and fapping was pretty much all I was left with. And I would do it multiple times a day, pretty much every day for, I'd say, at least 6 years. Definitely for pretty much all of high school, so there's at least 4 there, and then pretty much the first year of college, so for at least 5. Over the last few years, and especially within the last year, I've really wanted to stop fapping and get a real girl. So this is when I've tried to do no fap more and more, and picked up a few things over that kind of year that have helped me manage it. So there's a few things I feel are important to kind of understand about fapping. The first is that there is normally 2 things underlying the actual act of fapping. That is either you're wanting a genuine sexual release, which in my experience is the less common one, or there is another underlying emotion underneath that kind of sexual energy you've got. That is what you're actually craving. That could be boredom, it could be loneliness, frustration, anxiety, and really any emotion, any sort of negative emotion. Fapping is basically just the tool that your body then uses to make that, basically those feelings are less prevalent at the front of your brain. So what you kind of need to do is give your brain other tools that it can use. The tools that I have done is I've used reading, on and off. I'm a bit iffy with reading. I'm quite good at reading, I think, but I get a bit bored of reading. So other ones I've found that I really like are playing my guitar, getting outside, playing with my dog, doing a quick kind of physical reset by doing some air squats or some push-ups. I've got pull-up bar, so I can do some dead hangs or try a few pull-ups or some chin-ups, basically that kind of stuff. Doing something quick physical activity, even just a quick walk, really helps. Basically what this does is give my brain a healthy kick of dopamine, which is very important for you, as how you get dopamine really matters. And that is basically what your brain is after through fapping, is dopamine release. Another thing that I did touch upon earlier is that any amount of progress is a very good thing. I feel that there is some pressure surrounding this, and it's very high pressure for some reason. And for some reason people seem to be of the idea that you can go from fapping daily to suddenly never fapping ever in just an instant or just overnight. At least that's what I believed I could do. That is just very, very unrealistic in any field of life, but especially in one as sort of mentally stimulating as fapping is. Again, no other way of life works like this, and in no other way of life do you really expect this. Like, you wouldn't expect to go from like a fat person to being able to look like Arnie just because you did one bicep curl, now would you? That's just not going to happen, and people seem to understand that. But within that scenario, it takes months, even years of lifting weights and dieting to get an amazing physique that might never quite look like Arnie's, because Arnie's a genetic specimen. But it takes years of trying to be able to get near that. And the same is true of fapping. It'll take you months likely to break a habit, which is what you're trying to do. If, like me, you've fapped for years, multiple times a day, going cold turkey probably won't work, because especially if you go cold turkey without replacing fapping really with anything. Again, if we go back to the gym for a second, the thing in the gym is progressive overload, which is basically do a little sustainable progress each session in the gym or each day in fapping. So this is where we get into kind of the tips and advice I might have for it that you might find useful. First is move your time, if you are going to fap, to a specific point of the day. It can be whenever works best for you. Personally, evenings or when I've found suit me best. It could be first thing in the morning, last thing at night, just generally whenever. It doesn't particularly matter what time you pick, just pick a specific point of the day as the time, and you go, right, if I have urges, that is when I will act on them. So let's say you pick 9:30, and it does a couple of things. So if you say 9:30, that is the time I will fap. Your brain will go, okay, that's fine. During the rest of the day, we'll do these other things instead, and you should end up enjoying life a bit more. And then when it comes to 9:30, you fap, and you're just like, well, I've got all this other stuff done, so it's been an okay day. The second thing is basically just let yourself have a little progress at first, and don't expect perfection. So let's say your goal is no fap, but you were fapping 3 times a day, 7 days a week, pretty much every week for years. A first goal would be to get that down to twice a day, 7 days a week. That is a big improvement. You've reduced, over the week you were fapping 21 times, you're now down to 14 times. That is improvement. That's a kind of big step as well. And then you will go to once a day for a week, and that twice a day for 7 days will be week 1, let's say, and then you go to once a day 7 days a week for maybe week 2, or maybe even week 3, and that is absolutely perfect. And then once you can get that down, so you're just fapping once a day, let's say you've picked your time 9:30, you get a 9:30 for 2 weeks. That's your time to fap, but that's the only time during the day you have fapped. That is fantastic. And then after a couple of weeks, you might get to be able to get it down so you only fap 6 days a week. So let's say on a Thursday you've had a good workout session, and you kind of get to 9:30. I don't actually really feel like I need to fap. You just go, okay, I don't need to fap then, and then you just go to sleep and read a book or watch TV or something like that. Whatever floats your boat, really. But you're down to 6 days a week, and then slowly over time you'll basically go have a week where you've been able to get it down so you've not fapped at all during that week. And then before you know it, you've done 2 weeks, and then 3 weeks, and then you've done a month. And that is fantastic progress. That progress will take place over the months, but that is excellent progress. And as I said, that will be over a few months. At first, you will need to accept the small steps if you look at it as the big picture. So as I said, if you're currently fapping 3 times a day, 7 days a week, That's 21 times in that 7-day period. So if you were to reduce it, so you even get to 18 times for that 7-day period, that's a great progress. You've reduced 3 times. You've basically removed 3 instances where you have fapped previously. And then if you're able to reduce that down to 14, so that's just 2 times a day, and then you reduce that down to 10 times a week, and then down to 7, and then you go down to 6, and then 5, and so on and so forth until you've done a week. That will take a bit of time, because obviously you're kind of rewiring your brain. But that is fantastic, and you're going to have to accept that progress will be small at first, but it's kind of like a snowball. You do the first thing, and the second thing, and it'll slowly build up until you've got a big ball of no fatness. And it's basically kind of the idea of concepting, which is a fantastic idea. I have already described it as the 8th wonder of the world. Compounding, so take that for what you will. The third tip is, despite this, don't track the amount of time you're on NoFap for, or count down the seconds until you hit your set time for fapping. Just kind of go about your life and do things that you want to do normally, and then when it hits the time you've set, so let's say this 9:30 you've picked, you actually do then have a decision to make at that time, because that 9:30 isn't an instruction. It's not like 9:30 hits and your brain's like suddenly, yep, here we go, here's porn, go on, do your thing. At 9:30 you basically will have a fork in the road, a Y-shaped fork, a 2-pronged fork. I like those forks you get on barbecues. Basically you'll have one where it's like, right, I can go and fap, or I can not fap. And at 9:30 you can basically review the day. So let's say during that day you had a healthy breakfast, you went to work, then came home, you went to the gym, you went for a little walk, you spoke to a couple of mates, you do those kind of things. 9:30 you might come and you might be like, actually I feel really good, I don't need to fap, I've got no real energy to release, and then boom, you've just done a day of no fap. Well done. It's great progress, great work. Like I said, you basically at 9:30 or whatever time you've picked have a decision to make, and you basically review kind of your day and how you're feeling in that moment, and answer the question, do I actually want to fap right now? The answer may be yes, which is absolutely fine, but the answer may also be no. The time isn't an instruction, it's a decision point. The fourth tip is the one that for me has done the most amount of work to help me progress, which is to try and understand what you're actually feeling underneath the horniness. As I touched on earlier, horniness is normally just a mask or kind of an umbrella thing that hides another emotion, or basically hides what you really want. I've realised that when I have urges that make me want to fap, it's normally because I am bored, because I am lonely, or because I am feeling frustrated about things. So now I've built up systems to be able to steer myself into. I'm not doing it as though it means I can never fap, it's just basically to redirect my energy into it for the time being, and basically to let the sexualness of the urge pass. But the key is to not think about letting the urge pass. You just kind of need to distract your mind a bit and do something else whilst the urge is there. The urge generally will last about 20 minutes of the kind of sexual peak. Could go in about 20 minutes. So if you can just distract yourself for that period of time, you'll then be left. If after that time you still want to fap, then that's fine. You'll be able to put it off for a bit. But you might come after that 20 minutes. Let's say you've decided, right, okay, I'm feeling a bit horny right now, but instead of immediately acting on it, I'm going to just go and I'm going to do, I don't know, let's say I'm just going to go, I'm going to make a cup of tea, and I'm going to sit outside for 20 minutes. You can set a timer, but just don't focus on the timer. Don't be like, okay, there's 18 minutes to go, 17 minutes to go. What? Don't do that. Just kind of sit there with your cup of tea and just enjoy the scenery, enjoy the fresh air, depending on what time of day it is, enjoy a bit of sunshine, that kind of thing. And then when the timer hits, you'll probably feel a bit calmer, and you'll be able to assess kind of what it was you're actually feeling in that period, because there's usually something underlying the fapping that you really want. And like I said, for me, it is boredom, loneliness, or frustration are usually the big three. And boredom and frustration are very easy to kind of cover. Because boredom, just give myself a task to do. Frustration, just kind of remind myself that I'm making progress. It's not as much progress as I'd like, and it's not going as quick as I'd like it to, but I am moving in the right direction. Loneliness is a bigger issue to solve, but there's like, again, all you can really do is remind yourself, kind of like frustration, that you are doing the right things, as long as you are trying to improve that one. If you're like trying to talk to people a bit more, be a bit socially active a bit more. Like you can message your mates. You know, if you're able to talk to your parents, talk to siblings. Try and talk to anyone really. I guess if you're feeling lonely, it's probably the best thing. There's no real solution to loneliness, sadly, but that is basically for that tip. And then the fifth and final tip does actually stem from this, which is you do also need to understand that fapping is likely a habit for you by now. If you're watching this video, it is likely you've been doing it for a little while, so you basically have to replace that habit. That your brain has gone, we feel this thing, so what we usually do is fap at this point, so that's what we do, that's our solution to this thing. We now need to need to be able to tell our brain, no, that is no longer the answer. That answer is incorrect. We are updating it, so we feel this thing, okay, we now no longer fap, we are replacing it with this. And you're basically going to replace it with some other habits that you find enjoyable and are productive for yourself. They don't have to be productive in terms of you don't have to be creating something that you can then sell or whatever. They basically just have to be productive in terms of getting you to manage your urges a bit better. And you want them to be enjoyable, and really you want them to be simple enough to do, so that if you get a really strong urge, there's not a lot of friction. There's not a lot of kind of room for your brain to go, well, that's a lot of effort though, isn't it? And like, this thing's right here, so let's just do this thing. You want your brain to basically have no real argument against doing that thing. That's why I found guitar, because normally a guitar is out, because you just have it. Well, mine's on my desk, but I can just do I've got a standing desk. It's standing there. I just have to plug it in, but that's about it. I'll plug it in, turn the amp on. That's it. You can do push-ups because you can just do them on the floor. Air squats are a great one. Going outside is a fantastic one because that gets you out of the. Let's say you're in your bedroom and you're feeling a strong urge. If you go outside, you've moved location, you've gone to get some fresh air. Basically, you're likely a bit cooler outside than it is in your bedroom, so you'll be cooling down a bit. Even just splashing cold water on your face can really work as well. As I said, these habits you want to replace them with, though, they can be hobbies you normally do. So it can be reading, guitar playing, or if it's kind of quite late. For me, quite late, it's like 11:30. I know, what a boomer. But if it's really quite late, and let's say your normal hobby, let's say something you want to replace it with, as either the guitar or another instrument, the bagpipes, or let's say you have a punch bag and it's do 10 minutes on the punch bag, but it's really quite late, so you can't really do either of those things. Then what I tend to do in that situation is just go in my back garden for 5 minutes, get a bit of fresh air, and to, as I said, cool down. That really helps me relax and lets the urge pass. I can focus on my breathing, kind of do a bit of meditating really. Just go out there, focus on my breathing. I like to do 4 breaths in, hold for 6 seconds, then breathe out for 8 seconds. I tend to do that 5 times, and that really helps me calm down. But basically the key is you can try these things, but basically just look at yourself, and you've got to pick what works best for you and do those things when the urge hits. If you do those things and the urge is still there, then fine, but it is very likely that the urge will have passed, because basically what urges are is essentially just like an emotional burst from your brain. Your brain's firing an emotional thing at you, but you don't have to catch it. You can swing for the hills. You can Pete Rose, I think he's a baseball. You can tell I don't watch baseball. What they call, like a batter. That's what they call. He's like a good batter in baseball. So like hit home runs. You can knock that out of the park if you want to. But you can knock it out of the park and it might come. I guess boomerang's probably a better thing. So like they'll throw a boomerang to you. You can catch it, or you can just release it again. But that's kind of what you need to do with it. I guess tennis maybe is a better way. So like you'll hit it away, and then it might come back after you do something else, or it might stay away. Like you won't know until you do the thing, but if you're able to put it off for a bit, there's very good chances that it will have passed. So that is my advice, is to basically find what works for you, do something else, whether that be playing an instrument, reading, going outside, doing a bit of a quick couple of exercises, push-ups. You can do sit-ups, pull-ups, air squats, calf raises, anything really. You do any sort of exercise. You can do most exercises, just using body weight. Push-ups are probably the best one because they kind of work a lot of your upper chest, and I find them quite tough anyway. I'm able to do 10 of them now though, which is very nice. But I think that is kind of everything I have on fapping. So hopefully you found that useful, and if you're able to take something up with you into your own life, you can let me know any other tips that you may have for other people in the comments down below. But that is all for this video. So hopefully you have enjoyed it, and if you have, be sure to give it a thumbs up, click subscribe if you are new around here. But that is all for now. So I'd like to thank you for watching, and we'll see you later. Welcome to Olympus.